And welcome everyone to another episode of HappyCast. Wow, I'm in a new environment, so I'm all sorts of thrown off. I don't know what that was. As always, joined by Stephanie in spirit. He will one day. We'll force him back on at some point. Dylan will be here. I don't. He's getting into bullfighting. I don't know what he's doing this time of year.
We miss you.
Yeah, he doesn't listen to this, so we're not entirely sure if he even edits this. We don't know who does the editing, but somebody does, because every now and then stuff gets left in that shouldn't, and stuff that we want left in doesn't stay in. So somebody's doing something. Snip, snap, snip, snap. But we're excited because we have joining us for the second time one of the original guests we had when we first launched the HappyCast. He was one of our earliest guests and near and dear to most of us, at least for me, and I know Stephanie. My first ultra race ever was at one of his races back with TROT, trail racing over Texas. And that's how I met Stephanie at Running the Rose, one of the races that we were training for at Tyler State Park. So that's how we became friends. And eventually we met Dylan there at the race itself at Running the Rose. So everything's kind of coming together, and he, like I said, he was one of our original guests. If you want to give it a listen, this was like 3.5 years ago at this point. Yeah, somewhere around that time. Wow, it's been a while.
I know it's been a while.
Where we hear about his former race directing company and his trials and tribulations and the massive success of it. But we're excited to have Rob Goyen back on with us because of the landscape that we're currently in, especially with trail racing in Texas, and his exciting return to trail racing in a race directing capacity with his new race company, Rise Running, or Rise Racing. Oh boy, I may have butchered that. Did I get it right the first time? I did. No, I messed it up.
It's Rise Racing.
Rise Racing. So don't worry, our boy Dylan will edit that.
No, he
As he always does. Yo, man,
Our partner that's behind the scenes, every time we call him out, it's like, is he really back there?
No, he's there. He's over our shoulder. He's the fourth camera that no one can watch. This is on YouTube, by the way. So
he's the green text now.
I always butcher trail racing over Texas. Is it trail running over Texas? What is it? TROT. I just the acronyms. But Rob, we're super excited to have you back on. It's been 3.5 years. I know we've kept in touch every now and then, but we're super excited to have you make return to the scene, especially in this landscape. So first and foremost, it's been years, and I know seeing you in some format with Ultra Sign Up, with some of the stuff you've been doing since then. But can you just fill us in really fast? What have you been up to these last few years, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I appreciate Dylan on the editing. Haven't seen him in a bit, so hopefully see him soon. It's a pleasure to be back again. But yeah, I mean, the last 3 years for me, a little bit of a break on obviously the race directing side, and just by choice, took a break from race directing to kind of focus on home stuff. Our daughter is, you might hear in the background, but she's in first grade now, and at that time she was a little wee one, and it was kind of like, man, post-COVID, I was home a lot, and then when we got back, COVID time period of race directing, I was like, you know what, like I don't really want to be on the road like I have been. We were doing 18 races a year from August to May, 2 a month, and we had a lot of people that worked for us. It was just a big operation, and it was just like, I either like take a break now, or I won't. And then there was some other, stuff that I've talked about. Like we lost a runner on the trail, and I hadn't really had a lot of time to process that, and I was having some anxiety attacks, like race directing at the time, especially when Chris and Ann were taking over some of those races. So I knew in my own mind, like I needed a break to deal with that stuff, and I needed a break just to kind of not be traveling and help raise our daughter and enjoy those years of when she was super young. And at the same time, my son was a freshman in college. So I was like, man, I want to enjoy freshman, all the way to junior year now. My son's a senior now, so he's kind of almost done. So yeah, it's just a lot of like family time and hanging. And I was very fortunate to, I think I met David and Jay, who are the CEOs of Ultra Sign Up in June. And I had race directed my last race in May and had a coffee with them and kind of worked out that they were looking for someone to come in and kind of do special projects. My roles changed there a little bit over time, but at the end of the day, to get to still work behind the scenes in the sport and watch the sport and still like help make decisions based on what I know about the sport, I've still been doing. So just been watching, just not talking a lot, just enjoying home life and just watching the sport. And for the last 18 months, been plotting my return in some way of just like, it's just been consuming me and I just can't hold it any longer. And then was able to, over the last few months, to finally find a way to still help Ultra Sign Up in a contractor role and actually get back to race directing, which obviously makes me super happy. And that's why we're here, right?
And you did dirt. You were, I don't want to say in charge or created Dirt Circus.
Yeah, I created Dirt Circus for Ultra Sign Up. That was one of the projects when I got back on board. We had done some kind of like sponsored group runs before I had gotten there, and then we were trying to find kind of a formula. And I had always said that I wanted a way to like, for those people who've never been to TRE, which is the running event, it happens every December or late November. This year it's in San Antonio. It's normally in Austin. It's like a candy land for trail runners. You go into this massive convention center. You get to see all the newest shoes that aren't out, all the newest gear. There's little parties and there's little runs, and it's like Wonderland for 3 days. So I wanted to try to bring that to the masses, and the goal for that was like, how do we get a race store? And the funny part is, like, when I first started TROT, we used to do these on our own. We would go to a store, partner with him, we do free tacos, we give away a race entry. It was just kind of like the things we did to build our company. So that's how Dirt Circus came to be. And it started off with 3, and then now we're at like 10, and they sell out. And obviously there's one coming up in October, and I just found out this morning that I will be there working. So I'm going to come and help out with the Ultra Sign Up crew. But yeah, they're meant to be a way for entry-level runners or runners that are in the scene to get to try on the newest and best stuff, have a fun raffle, come see your favorite store, and it all revolves around a local running store, and kind of just have you experience trail running with no pressure, no paying. Just come and experience the community, and that's the goal of it. We're just trying to bring in new, fresh people into the community all the time and pair them up with really good other people as well.
And that's your element, always like being creative and coming up with like, I can just think of all the stupid shit that came on the live videos, and it's like you want to be there to like chime in and like hear stuff. That's why when you did the live video, I was like, oh my god, this takes me back, because I was only doing 50Ks when back then, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
or I was doing 50 milers, but still, like, the buckle, the possum's revenge buckle, like, where'd that come from? Because people were shouting out stupid shit
Yeah.
on a live video. So creating Dirt Circus is like right up in your element, but you're not getting the hands-on people, the social that you miss from race directing.
Yeah, I mean, it in a weird way, like, so Amanda, who's back as my number 2, right? She worked at Ultra Sign Up with me for a while, and somewhere along the lines of doing Dirt Circus, we wanted to try to put on a really a race for Ultra Sign Up, but really it was for post collegiate athletes. So we ended up putting on races in Bentonville, and we did 2. I think the first prize purse was $10,000. The second year it was like 15. But it's the biggest prize purses ever for like short distance racing. So I think after the first year, Amanda and I put it on, and somebody had commented, because I'd put a picture up. Somebody had commented like, "When are you going to put on races for us again?" And it was funny because Amanda and I were driving home, or we were together, and we were eating after the race or something, and she said, "I feel like we're cheating on our runners." And I go, "I know, it doesn't feel weird. Like we're race directing, but we're not like race directing for our people." And, like, it was always kind of that feeling of like, I'm getting to meet all these people and, obviously travel the country and it's been super fun, but like, that's not like real race directing, and it's not like, and I don't have all the control in the world over it. So it was just kind of almost like, lighting, keeping the fire lit for me in a lot of ways, because I was hungry to like get out on my own a little bit and kind of have full control, do the crazy stuff that people, that know that I'm going to do.
So, Rob, I alluded to when we first started this, basically my entry into ultra running, and then to a lesser extent because Stephanie was around longer than I was, but it's how we met at one of your races. But by the time I came on to the scene at the end of 2020, not 2000, wow. Um, it's you guys were basically and I thought it was a pretty decent analogy, like basically the Roman Empire in Texas as far as trail racing. You guys had, at least numbers wise, when I looked it up, the most consistent entrants for all the races. I mean, Tejas always has Rocky Bandera, but some of their races get pretty wild. Not as many people register. You guys were basically consistent across the board, and like probably the biggest thing going on, at least for trail running in Texas at the time. Now, when you stepped out, things were kind of consolidated and changed a bit. Trot going over to Cal, he consolidated things. Now things, as far as trail racing over Texas, is now closer to Houston. Races up north went to Blaze, which at that time Blaze was, they'd been around, but they've gotten bigger, especially with their additions like Possum Kingdom and Running the Rose and their take on it. And then, you ventured out far west with the Franklin Mountains, and that was given to Human Potential. Like, things kind of just changed hands, just kind of like, the once mighty empire. And now you're coming back in. You kind of like gave ammo to a lot of these people. It's just like, in a good way. Like, it's expanded now. Now we have the addition of Texas Outlaw Running
Yep.
Company, and what Brisson's doing with all of those races. Like, there's a brand new race, I swear to God, every week I'm finding about.
Okay, but I guided Jeff this past weekend. He had no food, no salt. I mean, he had water and electrolytes in a jug, nothing else. And he was giving a 4 hour cutoff for the half marathon. So it's like, okay, you'd think someone doesn't need it for a half marathon, but if you're doing a race for 4 hours, you have to offer more than just water and
Well,
electrolytes.
well, so you got to also, just because we're all encompassing over here, you got to understand some races are more difficult to kind of support. We've had, there's a lot of races across Texas from other
I'm
companies
just
that,
throwing that out there
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
it
no,
was a very minimal, like
yeah.
no bananas,
And I have no
not
idea what
even
race
not
you're
even a
talking
banana.
about. That's how many races they have now. Like, it's just a brand new one every day popping up. But anyways, point being, yeah, yeah. So yeah, you spread yourself thin. Now, I'm not saying that they're spreading themselves thin or anyone really, but yeah, it's just the level of support, can be a little different, especially if it's something that's more hastily thrown together. But now it's just like all corners of Texas have something going on now. You're
Mm-hmm.
re-entering in a unique way as not really a new race company. It is a new race company, but these people have your DNA in them in a way. Like, you either helped inspire them, helped them out, helped train them. Like, just like Joe Presides back in the day, there's just like it's in there, and now you're re-entering and trying to set your own precedent now. Once again, knowing that this is the biggest it's been in Texas as far as trail running. So
Yeah.
it's a growing sport. So how are you approaching this now
I
that
mean,
there's like established, you know, areas with different race companies?
yeah. I mean, I think that, I think that people put on good races in the state of Texas. I mean, obviously, like, there's to have my DNA in a lot of stuff. Sure, yeah. I mean, I've been doing it since 2014. Like, a lot of the policies that people carry, like throughout the state of Texas, were policies we created. There wasn't a volunteer policy before we came around. The whole volunteers at credits, like we made. So yeah, I mean, there is a lot of that, but this is the way that I look at it. There's nobody that puts on races like me, and that's the defining characteristic of races. No matter where you go, is how they're put on and the energy they're put on. But just me personally, like I know what I think of races. I know how I want them to be. I know the craziness that I want to do. And to be honest with you, like I haven't, with all due respect, there's a few things there, but I haven't seen anything in the last 3 years that have wowed me in regards to it. And that's only just because, like, the things that I'm thinking of doing right now, I think, and I can just tell you that because I've told other people that people they don't even have what I'm thinking in their radar. So to me, I'm thinking of the sport 3 and 5 years from now. And I think people are just, and I think it's okay if you just want to put on races. And I think that's super cool. But I don't have I'm not coming back just to put on races. That's not why I'm coming back. I'm coming back because, like, I want to rebuild a community that I feel like is detached in some way. There's a lot of things that I have left that I want to do. I think the sport has changed in 3 years, and I don't see a lot of the change that I would want to do. So I want to make those changes. So it's just like ideas. Like I had ideas when I was, in charge of TROT, and the big thing about people getting all the races was there wasn't any other way to do it. And people have always said, like, you could have done this or that. But here's the truth. I didn't want the races like to happen like it was for Dave's races. Like when Dave left the sport, he left the sport. Nobody knew what he was doing. Like there's still like threads on Reddit that were like, Rob came in and took his races, and it's just not the truth. Like I emailed Dave and was like, hey, like, what are you going to do with your races? Like everyone's talking about it. So there was like a free for all on his races. And the funny part is most of the reason why Chris got those races up there, not only is he up there and he's part of y'all, was Chris also liked those races at the time, but he just wasn't ready to build a big enough company to absorb those races. So when he was, and I was leaving, I gave him those races. Like he didn't pay me for them. I gave him Paris, Coyote, Possums, and Tyler. And, he deserved those races. And then Cal was the only person that was going to step up, right, wrong, or indifferent for Trot. And Cal got those races. And John was the only one that wanted to put on a race. Now, do I agree with everything that happened? No. But on the same token, like that, it isn't my decision. I made my decision that day, and that is the decision. But I'm happy all those races are doing good. I'm happy that Briston's, Briston and I talk all the time. I talked to Briston yesterday. So, like, I'm happy that people put on races, and I'm happy that the community of trail running has grown. And I know that to be true from someone who's seeing this sport grow. But I just know that I want to come in and do things the way that I want to do things, and I want to do them in my style. And people that know me know the style they're going to get, and people that don't know me will find out. But it's just a different. I mean, there's 16 different burger places within a 1 mile in Katy, but they're all still standing and they're all still doing well because everyone likes a different burger. It's the same way.
Did you know when you stepped out that you were going to come back in, or did this take time?
No, I didn't think I would come back in, but I also was. The last like 4 or 5 months are really hard for me. Like I really was like really disconnected, and I didn't like the feeling. I never liked the feeling of putting on races. Like I didn't ever want to put on races because I felt like I had to put on races. Because when I was race director before, I had another business, so it was like my other business did really well in the COVID time. So it's like I could come back to race directing. So it was like 1-2 punch. So I never felt the pressure. But then at the very end, like I was really slogging to put on races. So I didn't like that feeling, and I didn't know how long that feeling would go or stay. But yeah, I didn't really start talking about race directing until that was probably about 18 months ago. That I was just like, started voicing it to my family, like I really want to go back. And then it was like, do you really? Or are you just saying that? Are you bored? And it was like, no, I miss it. And then, and then it's just kind of just that build of like the want. But I think the big difference here is like, I don't want to leave though. Like I'm not here to leave again though. I'm here to stay.
What did you miss most about trail racing, race directing it, or just
I mean,
being
the
involved in the
community.
environment?
I mean, the community is just it's the unexplainable thing to anyone else. Like to me, the finish lines and like just like seeing people do loops and like encouraging people and seeing people and like I've said it a bunch. Like I like the feeling of you training really hard to come to my race, and then I like me working really hard to put on a race for you. And I feel like we meet in the middle where you're going to give it everything you have on that day, and I'm going to give you everything that I have on that day, and we create something special together. Because it's not just me. Like, I'm going to race direct, you're going to run, and we need volunteers. And volunteers are probably the most important out of all three of us because we can't put on races without them. But there's a synergy there that's, I've never felt it at any other, point in my life. And that's just something I miss. And then also like, I want to, this is part of my plan, but I want to tell those stories. And I have a unique way to do it that hasn't been done before. And I'm going to push really hard within our company to do that. But I have a really big plan on telling those stories and how to tell them.
Now, another question regarding like the past few years. We always do a better job looking back at, retrospectively at certain moments. Were you ever looking back at were those any of those moments, those big moments you always just kept going back to that reinvigorated your love to want to do race directing again? Like, do you have any favorite things that just kind of like keep popping in your head? Like, oh man, I want to do that again, or I want to experience that again. Is there any specific moments now that just help kind of like reinvigorate your love to do this again?
I mean, to be honest with you, I think that the messages, the messages and the calls and the texts that have never stopped over the years and are still in my inbox, and I respond to them, but it's someone who runs a race and then says, hey, it's nothing like that without you, or I remember when you were here, or like, you're my guy, like, because to me, it's weird. I remember finishes. I remember certain people's finishes. I remember like what happened at a race. And somebody says, hey, remember that time at Coyote when the hailstorm came in and all the tents collapsed? And it's like, man, that was crazy. But like, I miss that. Like, I miss that. Like, I miss those stories. And you can't have those stories with people if you don't get out there and do it. Like, and those are like, I'm not done with those stories. So the only way to get them is to come back.
I'm thinking of the time you bought like a sheet cake and it was a
Yeah.
disaster. That's what I love. Like, you're gonna try something, and if it doesn't work, you're gonna try something different. Like,
I
you'll
got it.
be creative. Like, I remember.
Yeah.
One of my favorite memories is when you let me set up a balloon stuffed animal petting zoo.
That was it. Yeah, it was great, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and also
like,
you were Sasquatch. Like, those are some of the
I
best
was
pictures
Sasquatch. I
ever.
still have it.
Oh my God, I
Remember?
forgot
That
about
was fun.
that.
Well, the second
Some
year,
epic
I
videos.
wore bomber jackets and some neon. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I need all that. I have a really crazy idea for the first race we have coming back, and I think I'm pretty sure I can pull it off, but it would be cool because no one's ever done it, and I think when people see it, they'll be like, "This guy's out of his mind." But yeah, like those are all fun stuff, right? Those are all like super great stuff, and I am that guy. The sheet cake incidents are only funny because my wife told me not to do it, which she tells me a lot of stuff not to do. So that really wasn't like out of the ordinary. But I bought that sheet cake, and it was like Brad's spinning, and then nobody wanted sheet cake, and it's like, damn. And then, but on the same token, I did pumpkin pies and pecan pies, and then it's always been a hit, and people love that, and they remember that, and obviously Texans will have it. But like, yeah, all that stuff is like super fun, and in every race, I'm always going to throw something in that you don't see coming or you think is ridiculous. That's just I don't know. That's a constant. It has to be that way.
Yeah, another is, as we remember things, was I basically only volunteered in the kitchen once and was never kind of told by others to never do it again when I was making PB&Js at Coyote. And I put way too much jelly on it and called them sloppy J's.
I remember that.
Wait.
I remember that clearly. It was main aid station.
The
Andrew's
look on
calling
your
them
face,
sloppy
just,
J's.
like,
They were
looking at it.
disgusting. And one of the ladies was like looking at me like, who is this guy? And he's not cleaning up. And there was like peanut butter and jelly on
Dude,
fucking
I'm terrible.
everything.
I don't know who
on
the
the
hell put me.
tables, on the crates. It was like,
I didn't
dude,
ask
what
to
are
be
you
put in
doing?
the kitchen. I didn't ask to be put.
Okay, wait, what about when he shuttle drove?
No.
Okay.
No.
That was so dramatic for everybody.
Oh, listen.
Everyone involved was
No,
so
listen.
stressed.
No one got hurt. It was an emergency. It was dude. His shuttle driver or bus is backed up. Something happens. He's like.
Listen,
all
there where there are highs, there are lows, and where there are happy times, there are regretful times.
Put me in a pickup truck, man. I was like, it's like I'm just hauling construction workers to their jobs.
Yeah, that
Like,
probably
everyone's
wasn't the
hanging off
smartest.
the
You
back.
live and you learn. I wouldn't do that again.
But
hey,
it
we
worked.
did it once.
But it
It
worked.
worked. People
I
have
mean,
memories. No
That's
one
what
got
I'm.
hurt.
Those are the best
Remember when your
stories,
family got lost, Andrew, on the trail?
Oh my God.
See,
That was
another great
like,
story.
That's like, yeah, like my mom took her foster kids out, and then one of them got lost and no water. No, he had a water bottle, but something happened. Some children were arguing, decided to separate, and then they
Yeah,
just
whenever
got-
you hear children are lost on the trail, it was like, oh no.
Oh, they're self-sufficient children. These are Marvin.
Yeah, okay.
They were
not.
raised by
They were
Marvin.
not, and it was like all hands on deck. Everyone's
they
on
were-
the trails looking for kids. Like, it was mayhem.
We're from Cleburne. They know the part. I'm sure they don't. But.
Yeah, they don't.
They do
And
not.
they weren't okay.
Yeah.
It's
We're
not
not.
true.
So, when did the idea of Rise Racing come to mind then?
I don't know. It's probably like 4 or 5 months ago. I'm a 4-letter word guy. I mean, haters. Of course, I started the haters with Jeremy, Jose, and my wife in like 2012. TROT, 4-letter word. I'm a 4-letter word guy. So Rise is there. And the reason, and I have Rise trails, and there's a logo that has the trail, and I have all the variants of it. But the reason why it's racing is just because I'm not limiting myself to trail racing. I'm not saying that we're not going to do a bunch of other stuff. But the truth is, like, I have some interest in putting on some mountain bike races as like a Saturday Sunday combo. I won't say the other one, but if it happens, it'll be early.
No, you have to tell us. Let's leak it.
This is a
Oh,
leak.
boy.
This is the big leak. There is a pretty good chance that the race that we do at Surfside, which should be announced soon, will have a surf and trail. There will be a surf competition and a trail race
Do
happening.
trail runners know how to surf?
No, it'll be
We're
a
about
surf,
to learn.
It'll be a surf competition.
Yeah, I know.
That'll happen on the same beach at the same time, kind of like in correspondence. But yeah, I have some ideas, and funny enough, like I didn't know if Stephanie would be on, and I won't say this one, but I had messaged Stephanie earlier about one. But yeah, Rise is also just like for me, just I think the quintessential word that talks a lot about ultra running and life, and just rise up and get stuff done. And yeah, the logo is, the colors of the interstate, and it's the interstate sign colors, which is just kind of my homage to, putting on races across Texas, which is where the majority of, I think, my events will be. And the star is like Lone Star State, or the star that's on the El Paso Mountains. And, I'm from here. I'm from Houston, born and raised. Love being a Texan, and if I have the opportunity to put on some races in some other places, that's cool. But that's another reason why I didn't go back to like the Over Texas or like an overly Texas theme, is because I've been offered a lot of races over the past 3 years, a lot, and I won't say which ones because some went to other hands, and there's some that are still out there. But at the end of the day, like I really do want to keep my options open, because I'm looking at this in a different way than I've ever looked at it before. And I think maybe that's just because I've been on the sport a little bit longer. But I think that now that I've come back, there's a lot of people that have reached out and been like, I always wanted to race direct before, and I really want to. And so I want to keep all the doors open, and I want to not box myself in, and I want to do a really good job of like exploring every avenue that comes to me. Whereas before, I was head down, I'm only directing in Texas, and I'm going to do it this way, which I think works. But I'm going to be a little bit more creative and a little bit more open into any possibility that comes my way. And I think that's another like homage to why when you ask what's different is I am I'm thinking way out versus just putting on trail races.
Because you're in for the long haul.
Yeah,
Because you said you're not wanting to box yourself because you don't know where. Yeah, I love that.
yeah,
I do love the name just for what it means, but also just not confining it to a specific area. That was a huge thing where it's like, well, what Brisson's doing with Texas Outlaw, he's still putting on races outside of Texas, which is great. It's, and one of my favorite races, since I feel like we dogged on one of his races earlier, is is the one he does up in Monster, Ramble in the Brambles. But he does go to Oklahoma. He has some things in Arkansas. Um, but yeah, with Rise, I'm like, you're not constricted. Not that a name should constrict you because his company is Texas Outlaw, but he still does it in other states. And Blaze, they have some stuff in Southern Oklahoma, but
yeah.
like it's just like it does give you potential. And I'm sure it's definitely been asked, and people are still asking now. And because I live in Houston now. The trail running scene constantly like they do trips out to West Texas.
Yeah.
So they want to know, like, is that in the future? They want more opportunities out in West Texas, like Big Bend, El Paso.
Yeah.
And I never got to experience Franklin under you. So, is there potential for that?
My answer is maybe. I am. I would say for Big Ben it would be a 0, only because Big Ben has races and
Yeah.
that's cool. And Big Ben never was my spot, to be honest with you. Franklin's is different. Franklin's my home mountain. I spent years there. Yeah, I mean, I think there's opportunities to put on races there, and I think if like the right timing comes along, and then we can settle some stuff, then my answer is yes. Actually, just had messages this morning from some people that live up there that are like, "When are you coming back here?" And listen, here's the thing though. This is what people have to understand. My putting on races is going to depend on, and this sounds crazy, volunteers. If the whole reason why I'm trying to stick with smaller races, shorter races out of the gate, and people are going to see that really quickly, is these single aid stations or 2 aid station races or 1 aid station races, like those are the kind of races that I need to put on right now, just because I need to build a volunteer corps. I need to show people how we put on races. I need to gain the respect of everyone that's coming to the race. And I know that people know what to expect from my races, and I'm not worried about me putting on races. But the truth is, like, I don't view me coming back as some like shockwave to the community and all of a sudden Rob is back and everyone's just going to sign up for his races. I need to earn my way back in. And I need to do that, at least in my situation, by doing smaller, shorter races. And what I mean by smaller is like 50K and below, like, 5K, 10K, 25K, 50K. Of course, with Texans, there's 100K. But I'm trying to condense it down so that I can rebuild the volunteer corps and the people that need to be done. Because when you start talking about Franklin's, then you're talking about like,
Flying people out.
Yeah, 3 or 4 aid stations, flying people out. The incredible. I mean, the first year, listen to this, and I'll tell you, I don't think I've ever shared this story. I can remember Rachel and I driving to the Franklins the first year, and we were behind on like what the race would make. So meaning we were out more money than the race was making. We were really worried. It's super expensive. It cost us like $2,200 to get a U-Haul to go out there and come back. And like, it was a stressful time. It was really stressful for Rachel and I. And Rachel's like, you wanted to come out here, and we spent, we spent a lot of money to come out here. We did. It was just a hard race financially, right? And we got there and we ended up doing like 200 registrations in like the 3 days or 4 days when we got there. It was insanity because all these people, and that's just the community of El Paso, they just waited to sign up until we showed up there. And, of course, after that, like, the race got huge, and then the race became massive. And still, that Franklin's had more people in one weekend than any race has ever had. There's like 1,400 people there in a weekend, which is still unmatched. But I say that because, you know, Franklin takes a lot. And until we're ready to take on something like that, I wouldn't even entertain it. And I don't, for me, there's a huge respect into what it takes to put on summer races, 100 milers, 200 milers. Like, it's not, just because I want to do it doesn't mean anything, to be honest with you. It means a lot more to me on like what the community wants to do, and then how we can grow together to build out, because we can do whatever. I can do whatever people want to do. I'm not scared of any race, but we have to grow it to the level of what people want. And jumping into something like that haphazardly, not having volunteers and putting on a bad race is not something that I'm trying to do. So.
Oh, so yeah, yeah. I've never got to experience Franklin's, but I've heard some pretty awesome stories as far as like the volunteers. It just sounded like some
From
epic
Mo.
yeah, just some epic undertaking.
Yeah,
And
Mo got the worst of it. Some of those
yeah,
people on the one trip got the worst of it. Like
Mo
Mo volunteered,
is
and then I don't think he talked to me for 3 months. So I mean,
Mo
I think
is
you know,
a
But that's
workhorse.
just Mo.
he's
No, he doesn't
I
talk to
saw
anyone.
this guy
Oh, no,
randomly.
I text him all the time.
I didn't talk to this guy for like 2 years, and then I'm randomly in Arkansas helping out at the Back 40 race at an aid station before our race at Bentonville. Here comes Mo running down the trail. And he's like, "Is that you?" I'm like, "It's me." He's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Volunteering." He's like, "Man, I can't believe this." And I'm like, "Man, you ain't talking to me since the Franklin's 2 years ago."
The guy has
I thought you were
mastered
mad at
both
me.
Irish goodbyes and Irish hellos because he just shows up out of nowhere too. You're
But
just
see,
like,
I
what?
miss that guy. That's the problem with all this is like, that's the fun part of me seeing everyone that signs up for the email list or has already signed up for the race, like all that. It's like all these people that like I'm appreciative that they're signing up, but I just can't wait to see them. I just can't wait to see these people back on a trail race, like, and back like having fun. Like it's, I mean, I'm grinding right now. Like everyone else is, like me, like every night 9 to 12, I'm on it. You know what I mean? Like I can't wait for sure.
So, you were telegraphing some return for quite some time on
Yeah.
social media, and we love to speculate. So, Regina and I specifically were like, is he going to do stuff in Arkansas? Because he's always like, you love that area, man. It's like, oh man, is he going to do Arkansas stuff? Where's he going to go? Is he going to race direct again, or is he coming back to run races? Like, what is he doing? Just so, how was the telegraphing part for you? Just kind of building, kind of like, was this funny to you? Because it was just all over the place for everyone else, just
Yeah.
speculating.
Well, there was times where like I was really close to coming back in January, and I really thought I would. There's some stuff that happened. I won't get into it just because I don't want to put like I don't want to put behind scene business out front just to have it be speculation. But long story short is like there's a big commotion about me coming back, and what ended up happening was I didn't post. I haven't posted that often in social media since I stopped race directing. It's not just because I didn't post, but I actually didn't have Facebook account like before I race directed, and I was on social media because we race directed, but our life was very much in front of people's, in front of people's views, right? Like when we were race directing, if we went on vacation and my wife posted a picture of us on vacation, people would post stuff like "must be nice" and like it's just this weird stuff that used to happen. So I just stopped posting. So I didn't post. And then somewhere maybe like a year later or something, very randomly, like I had posted a picture of somewhere we were, and I think it was a beach or something. And somebody posted something like, this guy's out there looking for races. And then it ends up kind of spinning out of control. And it ends up kind of stirring around that all of a sudden, like, Rob started race directing and all this stuff, and when that stuff starts to stir around, like I worked for Ultrasino, right? So then the rumor mill starts, and it just causes issues. So at the end of the day, instead of leaving it alone, which I did for a really long time, somewhere around like March of this year or February of this year, I just leaned into it, and I only leaned into it really on Instagram or whatever, but I just put favorite stories that I had, and then I just leaned in, and my favorite was TikTok, and that was my phrase, was TikTok is coming, because I knew at the beginning of the year that I was going to fight to come back to race directing as hard as I could, And there was always an option. Listen, there was always an option for me to walk away from Ultra Sign Up and just go race direct, but that's not really what I wanted to do because I really like my job. Like the fact that I get to help people, help race directors every day of the week and talk races and talk about the sport and talk about how I can help in the races is really satisfying for someone who race directed for so long. And when I took the job, I didn't want to ever feel like I was going to lose the craft. So it just took a really long time for me to figure out with David and Jay, the CEOs, of how I could still help race directors, and that there wouldn't be some sort of optics from the outside that like I was getting special treatment or that like I had access to emails of runners, which I never had access to. But it's just the optics that looked bad. So it just took a long time to figure out like how I could still help people, and not work for Ultrasign, which now I'm a contractor, which it works great now. I'm separate from the day-to-day company. I still get to do what I like to do. And I finally get to like be myself, which is only funny because the last few days I probably posted more than I posted in a year. But now, if people get mad that I'm saying I'm race directing, there's no repercussion and like there's no swerving. It's out there, it's public, like it's there. It doesn't matter anymore.
So why Busher? Why the Texas Trail Race? Which, by the way, looking at it, and you have every single option under the sun. I'm surprised there isn't surfing available because you have everything from a race to like rucking, everything
Yeah.
up to the 100 and 4K, just like every option possible. Out in Busher, which is near, I believe, where Wildflower, yeah,
Same.
out
Yeah.
out near there. So why this race as the first race you put on?
Yeah. So small looped course. So I mean, if you're asking me as a race director, why would I come back and do this? I'll tell you my reasons why. Small looped course, which means 7 mile loop. That means I only have to put up 2 aid stations, which is super important because it's my first race back. 100K because I want to give away really cool Christmas buckles. Busher was the original habanero, and that park never gets any fucking love, and I love that park, and the trails are super good. So I wanted to show love to them. And I have Rocky Hill Ranch, which is a mile away, that has unlimited parking. So I don't have to worry about like that park is Busher's pretty small. And yeah, I'm also someone who like shows love to those people in parks that need it, and that's a park that doesn't get a lot of use, and especially doesn't get a lot of use in December. And essentially, I really wanted to put. I mean, I love Christmas races, and I love putting on races around Christmas, and I love all of it. And I wanted to do it big. I wanted to do Santa, and I want to do Christmas blow ups, and I want to do a Christmas themed medal. And yeah, I mean, that's just, I want to come out. And the reason there's so many distances is just to see, like, I don't know what people want right now, to be frank with you. I mean, I can look at everyone else's races and I can tell you, or I can look at market research, but at the end of the day, I want everyone who wants to come to my first race back, I want to give them an option. If it's a kids race, cool. If it's a somebody wants a ruck, which we got 3 ruckers already, it's cool. Like I want everyone to have a distance where they don't have a reason not to come. And at the end of the day, and this sounds crazy, but if you're a race director and you're on the come up, 1 is greater than 0. And at this stage in the game, I am at 0. So every 1 counts. So that is every 1 follow on Instagram. That's 1 person that comes to your race. It's 1 person that wants to volunteer. It's 1 person that's reading your newsletters. Like you have to grind like that. And there was a point in time where I had, 17 races and I could send an email and make my numbers go crazy, and that's super cool, but I'm not there. I'm coming back. I'm going to prove my worth. And, Scott Rabb, who's an old school runner, if you guys know who Scott is, every time I used to see Scott, no matter where I went, he used to always say, "You're the hardest working person in trail running." And I took a lot of pride in that. And for me, that is the same. That's the same thing that you're going to get now. Like I'm back, I'm not going anywhere, and I'm going to grind. And my grind is unbeatable for me.
There's a lot of people that are excited. Like besides just the rumors where like, is he coming back? Is he coming back? But there's a lot of people that because you're part of their origin story. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that goes back to the community. It's like when you make connections with people, like even Mo, you're like, I didn't see you for so long, but it's like you still feel so connected to those people, even if you haven't seen them for 3.5 years.
Yeah, it's family. I mean, and there's sweat. Like there's my wife would laugh and say that my love language is work. That is my love language, right? Like we kind of joke that, but like people that have worked for me or worked with me or like volunteered for me, like to me that's the ultimate. It's the ultimate act of love. Like in my eyes, people may not think that way, but to me, the people that are working to help other people get their dreams is super. And that to me, that's me too. Like my best version of myself is on race days at finish lines, encouraging people, speaking positivity, giving people everything I have, leaving, like people say, leaving everything on the field. Like that's the best version of myself. And I think that's why the sport is connected in that way because oftentimes you're there, you're tired, you're raw, you're giving it your everything, you're working through some demon you haven't worked through. So like we're in the same space, both going through these really emotional times, and like I love it, and it means the world to me, really does.
Now, your return, like we alluded to, all these companies now, races at different parks. Have you thought about revisiting some old places? Because I know, for instance, Tyler State Park has two different races, pretty similar, from different companies. There's some people that are willing, or not that it's a issue, but they've they've had multiple races from different companies at the same park, and between that and also, are you going to be cognizant as far as scheduling dates for certain races because of other races by companies? Because now it is starting to get like crowded. Not crowded, but considering that nobody wants to fuck with Texas in the summer, other than like
Well,
Habanero.
that won't be true.
Oh,
Well,
Rob's
one
gonna
guy
make us fuck with summer again.
I
Look at
got
that.
something for you.
Wow.
I got
But
something longer and longer on miles and longer on hours. I got something for
Okay, DDR needs some stupid shit
you. Okay.
because habanero, we used to back in the day, we used to like train, like we would
Yeah.
get together, at noon on Sundays. That run's been moved to an 8 a.m. run,
Yeah.
like that group run. We
Yeah. I'm
need
gonna
some
give you
habanero.
some. I'm gonna
Yeah.
give you some. So don't worry.
Okay.
But
I mean, I don't want to do it. I just will go pace it.
I got you.
Like,
I got you. So here's the answer. Listen, like you can look at it in a multitude of ways, right? Number one, I think having more races is good. At the end of the day, the cream of the crop rises to the top, right? Like at the end of the day, the person that puts on the best races or has the best community is going to serve their community. It doesn't matter if that's a Chris and Ann situation or if that's a Britson situation or Eric or Trevor, whatever. Like people, you're supposed to grow your own community and you're supposed to cater to those communities, and that should be the only thing you worry about, right? When it comes to being at other people's parks, there's some people that don't care. There's some people that care. There's some people. Listen, there's bigger companies that will just come into the state and put on a race, and they don't give a damn when your races because they're a national company and they're there to put on races, right? In Texas though, that's changed. When I first started race directing, you didn't put races on at other people's races. The truth about running the rows, which is super crazy, is when I had the meeting with them, they didn't tell me there was another race. So when I announced the race, like I think like the day before I announced mine in January at the time, Ultra Expeditions announced theirs in September, and I'm like, listen, I didn't do it on purpose, but I also didn't know that they were going to do it. But I wasn't like, well, now I'm not going to go back on my word because I wanted to use the same course Dave used because Dave did it right. He's still in like my top 3 race director conversation of all time. So I wanted to do that. But listen, I think at the end of the day, I have a lot of respect for the race directors that I'm friends with in the scenes. I'm not there to step on people's toes. I am a creative enough person, like I was before, to find places and spaces that people aren't using. And if someone is using a park that I want to use, instead of scheduling a race, I will go to them and ask. And just so you know, if you're listening, anyone in San Antonio, one of my favorite places in the world, I'm going to go back to San Antonio, and both of the places in San Antonio have races in them. And I talk to those race directors and ask if they mind if I come back because I used those parks originally, and they said it was okay. So I'm going to do like, I'm going to play nice because that's the way that I want to be treated. But I will tell you this. If I put on a race in a park and you put on a race on top of me and you don't come to me, well, then we're going to have a problem. Like, because, and I say that because like, I'm going to give everyone that respect. I'm never going to come into someone's park and put a race on if they already have a race. If they say like, no, we don't want you to do that, it's cool. But on the same token, like I also don't expect people to respect that opinion either. So I don't know. It's just, but some people just don't, some people don't care either. I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, I look at it like if you're friends with that race director, you wouldn't do your friends like that. You would just at least see if they were cool. And I'll give you a perfect example. And I'll tell you, like Eisenhower Park, which is where originally Alamo City is. I'm going back there. I'm going to announce it in 2 weeks. So I'll give you a little drop on that. But, you know, they have a race out there. It's in October. So, you know, you contact them and say, hey, like, do you mind if I put one in this spring? And let's make sure that I schedule, like Kimberly Abushan's big in the community. So Kimberly and I have talked back and forth to make sure that my dates aren't overlapping on like Prickly. And so, yeah, those people that I'm close to, for sure, I'm not in there. But also, like, there's, you know, I don't got to tell people this, but they're opening state parks all the time. I'm going to be in them. Like, and there's, I mean, I just got 2 emails today from people that have private land that were like, we've been waiting.
My next one.
Yeah, they're, you know, they've been waiting to, I don't know if they've been waiting for me to say I'm coming back, but I got 2 emails today from people that have land that are like, you know, hey, like, we heard you were coming back. You know, we knew so-and-so, you used their land. You know, you can use our land. We have 100 acres or 2,000 acres. And I'm like, cool. Like, let me catch a weekend to come out there and just scope it like I did, you know, 7IL. And then, you know, so I answer this on Chris's Dallas-Fort Worth area. Listen, I want to come back. It's not on my map to come do tomorrow, but on the same token, like I have 2 or 3 parks up there that I never used before. I will come back up there. But yeah, my regions are like Austin, San Antonio, obviously Houston, and I have some really crazy plans for Houston, which I probably won't say on this just because it's a pretty competitive market, and then Dallas. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it all. There's not anything I'm not looking at for sure.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question as far as private lands, because now 7IL, so much has grown just from that property. So many races, so many times, different times of year, and it's always been a good like backup if other races aren't, you know, allowed to happen. So I was wondering if you were in contact, because I know even like newer or with the private or other people with private lands, and I've known other race directors, like, yeah, they're getting places I've never heard of before. So it is, I know there's a lot still out there that we aren't even aware of. So I was wondering, are there, you know, like, you don't have to say anything now, but are there be some wild stuff just like as far as like, oh, I've never heard of that, or where's that? Like, I thought that was a place in Europe. No idea.
Yeah, it's interesting, like 7IL isn't somewhere I would go back to. In general, I don't have a relationship with the people that put on races there, so I wouldn't go back there. But yeah, there's a lot of people that have a lot of land randomly, and there's a lot of people that reach out. There's a lot of state parks that aren't being used. That's the interesting thing to me is as much as I see people in other people's parks, like I didn't really start looking for parks until like 6 months ago, and especially like around here. But I have like a list of 20 parks right now that no one uses that could be used all across, you know, basically 4 metropolitan regions. But like I guarantee if I just keep digging far enough, I'll find 40. Like there's places everywhere. It's just more of like, I think the problem with it is, at least what I've seen is, like, you know, Brisson is probably, Brisson, I'm going to try to say this as respectfully as I can. Brisson is probably one of the few that, like, is pushing the envelope with, like, finding places no one's ever heard of, designing races, like, and getting them up and moving. Whereas, like, I just haven't. I don't see a lot of that in the sport, and I think that's just like Blades hasn't grown that much in the last 3 years. Trot hasn't grown in the last 3 years. Chaos has maybe moved a couple of races. They're pretty sedentary, and the races like that Eric's picked up are old races. But like to me, there's a big difference between putting on races and creating races from the ground level up and then making them monsters or making them big. And a lot of that has to do with like going to a place and like trying to see it before it happens. And I think that's to me, that's why I like Dave so much. Like I like Dave's vision so much because Dave saw it that way. So I like people that are like, and Joe was like that, obviously. Like I like people that are come to places and then try to see like, okay, parking could be not just like parking could be here. Like, okay, we could shuttle in parking and we do it this way. And here's the setup. And I think like, if you're going to make races, you have to be able to do it in that way. It's easy to take over a race where someone's already told you where to put the aid stations and they've worked out parking for 5 years and everyone's run the same course for 5 years. That shit's easy. I mean, that's why at the end of Trot, like, like we would show up on a Thursday, you know what I mean? And like, but when we first started putting on those races, we're showing up on a Monday because you do have to learn how they're flowed. But I think there's a big difference in taking over races or putting on races for the 15th time versus someone like me who's coming for the first time or someone who's creating new races like Brisson does a lot. You have to think about that stuff.
But I just need to throw out there, he has talked a lot of inappropriate comments about marginalized people on his social media, on his personal account. And that's where, like, okay, he can go create races, but I want someone who loves everybody at the end of the day. And that's where you're going to bring in the, hey, I'll create a new race, but I'm not going to, everyone's welcome.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's,
Andrew's giving me the evil eye, like you did not just say it.
No, I didn't
I mean,
say any
you can't have issues with gay people and then put on a race in the trail running community. We're too loving.
Yeah, we don't agree with that. But thank God there's options. So
yeah, I mean that's what I was going to say. Is like
there's a lot of races out there.
There's options for everybody, and just like I said, there's a hamburger stand at every corner. Not everybody that likes Chick-fil-A likes Burger King or McDonald's.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. Like Chick-fil-A, they can be the Chick-fil-A, and I don't know, but it sucks because I like Chick-fil-A. But yeah, another question was like, how much of the stuff from before are you able to carry over now, or do you have to do everything from ground up, like logistics to get a new warehouse, get it? Like you're doing everything, repurchasing everything from ground zero. Oh man, how's that been?
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I look. My strategy to this, which everyone's will find out, is like I figured I would have to be 3 months out. Right now, it's different too. Like people register for races late now. It's not like it was before. I think people wait a lot, like another month later to register. My goal is to like announce the first race really like every 2 weeks, somewhere in there, 2 to 3 weeks. I'm going to announce another race, and I'm just going to continue to announce races and open races. At the end of the day, do I have to buy everything? Yes. Am I worried about buying everything? No. It's not really a concern because I know what to buy. But the truth is, like, as much as you see at a race company bring, you always have to remember too that is a scaled situation, which means like if you're putting on an event for 200 people, like a jackalope event, you really only need like 30 totes, an inflatable, and a timing system. You don't really need more than that. If you put on races like Franklin's, or you put on races like a Habanero, or some other race that we put on that you needed, 75 totes. But people also saw our truck and probably also realized that 30 of those totes are clothing. So yeah, I mean, I think for me is like, yes, I have to buy it all. Yes, I just got another warehouse that's big enough to hold it all. But at the same time, like A, not worried. B, it's totally fine. Like I don't like that's honestly the least of my concerns. It's not that difficult to buy all that stuff.
So as we wind down here, one of the last questions I want to ask. Sounds like you have some stuff planned, and you already alluded to a terrible race in the summer. Do you kind of have a vision yet for like this could be a premier race like our Rocky or Brazos Bend or Bandera? Do you kind of see one of your races in the future being like, oh, this could be like kind of our big one, or right now is everything just level?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I never like Brazos is cool. Like, I mean, when I had Brazos and it did what it did, I mean, the numbers have slowly drifted off Brazos, like what it used to be, despite it being a Western qualifier. That could be a lot of races in the scene, but at the end of the day, like, I was never focused on that stuff before, and I'm not really focused on that in the future. Like, I think my main focus is community. Like, I want our community back, and that has to do with some Houston stuff, which I won't talk about. But like, my goal is to try to go back and go into those communities and rebuild the community, and then the races to me will take care of themselves. And if the races take care of themselves and they're done correctly, and we do crazy medals and stuff, then the races will fill up. Like, I'm not really worried about that. I'm not really worried about it. And
Yeah.
also, like, I have some other crazy races in my mind that I want to do next year that I don't think have a chance to fill up, just because I think they're too extreme. But at the same time, I don't see anybody doing them. So I'm just kind of like, all right, like, I want to offer those things to everybody as well. So yeah, I mean, if races become, you know, really big again, and if I can get a Western qualifier, it would be cool. But on the same token, like, I don't really care. I don't like that doesn't mean anything to me in my heart of hearts. And it's the same reason why I never gave elite entries before. And people used to always, like, used to laugh about that. But I would tell people, like, my races are for 99.9% of people. If you're an elite runner who wants to come and show off how fast you are, and listen, everybody wants to see you come and run, and it's super cool. But at the end of the day, like, my races are for everybody. And I'm gonna do a really good job of telling those people's stories, because that's the 99% of our sport is normal people doing really extraordinary things that have really cool stories that we don't tell enough of, and I'm going to tell those stories. And I think that I know that our community was special before, and I know our community will be special again. So I'm gonna let that lead with the community.
Okay, Andrew, are we doing the can't let it go?
Oh, yeah, we can go right into that.
I feel like
So,
you keep asking questions and you're on the time crunch.
oh
I'm
yeah,
not.
no, yeah, well, dude, honestly, Rob
He's
is worth
having too
losing
much
my
fun.
job over. It's fine, dude.
I'll get time.
It's just like, if
I'll
you
get
need
time.
someone like a psych practitioner or someone to work in psych for you on the rate on the side of the rate, like, let me know, man.
Okay.
Good for some mental health resources while you're out there doing 1,000 loops somewhere. I don't know, but yeah, super excited for your return. I'm even more excited after listening to you now as to when you did the live stream. Just like it sounds like a lot of exciting things happening, summer race aside. But there's always something kind of bittersweet about ending something. But I always say like this, the excitement is always there when you start again. Just like there's always unlimited potential for a new start, and so I'm excited for you, and I'm excited that we get to join you from the ground up this time. Wasn't there when you started TROT, so this is very exciting stuff, and we would love to continue to follow along with you. Kind of just see the inner workings. Every check in with you every now and then with your races and how they're going. We kind of love doing that. We do that with a few other people in their races across the country, like West Plate recently. But
Just one person. Just
no,
West
we've done
Plate.
it. Ashley, when she did the Colleen race, we've done this with other people. There's at least
There's
five.
some
I
other
can't
people.
think of them
There's
at
some
the
other
top of
people.
my
You can
head.
think of them.
We've had over 200 episodes,
That's
almost.
a lot.
I don't know, almost,
Oh, I
maybe.
know.
Yeah, and we've had to re-record a few of them. So,
Yikes.
anyway, so we're gonna end this with something called "Can't Let Go."
Okay.
Whatever's on your mind recently that you don't mind sharing, running or non-running related. I'll go first.
Oh,
As an example, just so Regina's recovering, so we've been home every day. She had surgery and she's doing well. I'm sure she can hear this. Of course she can. I don't hear anything upstairs, which means she's hearing me right now. So, um, Yeah, she got a cute little marmot tattoo just now. I'm sure you saw the picture of it already, Stephanie.
I
Right?
did.
Yeah, it's adorable.
She sent it to me.
Yeah. So yeah, and as I mentioned, always something bittersweet about an end, but something beautiful about a beginning. I'm struggling this summer, and Regina can't really run, so that means we get to run together eventually, until she drops me off with her faster paces. But so just like earlier this year with her back surgery, so when we had to run together some. So I'm looking forward to our time to running again. Sure, I'm gonna end this. She's coming downstairs, so I'm just gonna stop talking. All right, your turn, Stephanie.
Well, I have two. One, I guided Jeff this weekend on a half
Yeah.
marathon. He's been injured and he only had clearance to run 4 miles. And we did a half marathon.
Yeah.
Andrew, we can hear you.
Oh, I didn't mute this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
Who is Pookie Bear?
it's
Wow.
Regina's over there squealing at me.
Really?
Oh, this is good.
Oh, she-
I got so
Put
distracted.
your clothes back on.
Um, I don't even know what I was talking about. Oh, I guided Jeff on a half marathon. He's only been released to do 4 miles because he's been injured. And so I made him go really slow at the beginning, and we ended up doing negative splits.
Mm.
And he ran the whole thing in. I mean, we ran the first 3.5 miles straight, and then we did intervals the rest of the time, but we were faster at the end because we had held back. So that was a lot of fun. And then my other can't let it go is I was going to talk about this on our last episode, but I had too many can't let it goes. Um, I want to do a females versus males miles challenge with the clubs with the like a fat ass. So the running familiar group ladies were the ones that had discussed it with me, and then I proposed it to um, Drew and Darren and Augustine, so Dallas Dirt Runners and Trailhead, and they said that they won't support that because it's demeaning to women to challenge. And I was like, so I kept asking opinions, and we got Greg Sissengrath in it, and he said it's allowed as long as the women propose the challenge. So we're thinking logistics on how we can prove that we have longer endurance than the boys in our DFW community. So that's in the works. I've just got to figure out how we're going to do it. But yes, we're going to take on that kind of challenge.
Well said, Stephanie. Whatever it is you said. I'll re-listen to it though. I'm sure it was great and motivational.
I was just talking about our first happy endings race.
Oh yeah, so
We're gonna put
sorry,
on.
I was putting my work attire on, so I missed that entirely since I got a skedaddle here in a second. But yeah, it's gonna happen. Especially, we're gonna bogart one of Regina's races next year, I'm sure.
No,
But
we're not.
anyways, yeah, we will. But anyways, Rob, we'll end it with you, buddy.
Can't Let Go. Demon Hunters soundtrack has been playing in our car, in our home, and apparently I listened to it on my treadmill hikes today, and no, it's wonderful. My daughter and I are talking about what moments are viral and what is pop culture, which is also a super fun topic. We looked up every viral toy since the 60s, and it is amazing to think of all the toys that were viral in those years are still what our kids play with today. So it's kind of really funny to have the Slinky and crayons and Barbie and Ken and all the same things my daughter still plays with. So a lot of reflection over the last few weeks on what's viral and what makes things go viral in general.
Oh, fun.
That's awesome. One last thing before we end this. Shout out to the guy at Moyon Monster whose car got engulfed in flames. On his
What
way to
happened?
the start line, he ran over an elk, or an elk ran him over. He was a runner, but the running community donated. He's from San Diego. I don't know his name. They gave him enough gear to start the race, and so he still showed up. He's like, my day can't get any worse, and he started the race.
That's true.
I do not
Did he
know.
finish?
Do not know because.
Do you even know the guy's name?
No, that's my problem.
Did he go
The
down in
person-
flames?
I saw the picture because my friend was running it and was stuck behind the car, and all I know is that he started it. I don't know if he finished, but I thought that was wow. Like, would you have the mental fortitude to?
I mean,
Start the
it ain't
race.
gonna get no worse.
That's what he said.
It's true. I mean, it feel like it would shock you, but it also may just be like, man, I'm out here, just fuck it. Who cares? Like I feel like it kind of be freeing.
Yeah, it is. It's like no other choice but to go forward, you know?
Yeah, it's like almost like, man, let me finish this and find a way to get home. I got no clue. I don't know how to do this.
Yeah, just
Maybe we should set your car on fire and do the next race and see how you do.
Oh man, I've had so many car problems. I mean, I've had a panic attack thinking my car was getting towed in the middle of a race once. I can't imagine it.
It happened at Rocky Raccoon the year that Hal Kerner won the race. They towed his car.
Well, that's what you get, dude.
Like
They're like recovery starts now, bitch. Start walking.
Walk back to Oregon.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll talk more about it on our Trail Action News, which I haven't done in a while.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, we'll get to that more. But thank you so much for joining us, Rob.
Don't log off until.
Oh yeah.
That's how we lost the.
Just wait 1 second, and we'll let you know when
after
we log
we.
off.
I'll stay on.
Yeah, just thank you so much. And as always, thank you for listening, and we'll follow along Rob and Rise Racing, and see how everything's going. And we'll definitely be at some of these events. Regina already wants to do the surfing competition, so she's all about it. She's nodding her head vigorously in the background.
Surfing trail.
Yeah, so. Okay, well, nobody can hear you squeal, so. All right.
Yes, we can.
It's so high pitched. How do people hear her? I don't understand. All right, we're logging off. As always, Mo knows. And happy
Happy endings.